Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and today I'm bringing you another UU battle against a person by the name of AProPikachu. Now before we get started, I just wanted to ask you guys something really quickly because it might be, something important that I could be doing for later videos. But I have strongly had a desire to play through Pokemon White again, and I was wondering if that would be something cool that you guys would want to see for me to put up on this channel. The only problem is that it would have to be a camera recording since I don't have any of that fancy stuff that lets you do it where it looks like it's the actual gameplay. So if that would be too much of a problem, I won't even bother doing it, but that is just something I want to do, so I want to hear your feedback, so leave a comment. But anyways, this battle, I'm using my UU team that I used in the previous UU video. Only difference is I switched up Bisharp with Bronzong, and my opponent is using a pretty interesting team for the fact that it is a Trick Room team, and I am never prepared for these when I run into them, so this was a crazy match on my end. So let's get started right away. I lead off with my Flygon, while my opponent leads off with his Bronzong, and now I want to get damage on this right away, so I just go right for the Fire Punch, and luckily for him, he switches out into his Rhyperior to take the Fire Punch, obviously resist it quite a bit. And so I obviously do pack the Earthquake, and I am Expert Belted, but I don't want to reveal to him yet that I am Expert Belted. So I just switch out of my own Bronzong to take whatever hit the Rhyperior wants to do because my Bronzong is max physical defense. So seeing him set up Swords Dance, as soon as I switched out, I started to get really worried because this thing is incredibly powerful once it sets up a Swords Dance or two. So I just go for Toxic right away. And on this turn, he actually one-hit KOs my max defensive Bronzong with Mega Horn, which just shows you the power of Rhyperior. I know it's at +4 right now, but that's still just ridiculous. So here I got into my Flygon, and I, want to go for the Earthquake, but I figured he wouldn't want to stay in because obviously Earthquake is coming, and I just go for U-turn, but for whatever reason he stays in, and I thought that was kind of weird because even though Rhyperior does have Solid Rock, it doesn't really work as well as people seem to think it does. But anyways, I have to switch out, and I just go into my Mismagius, which takes a Stone Edge and dies. So here, I go into my Machamp, and rather than risk the defense drops from the close combat, which my Machamp packs over Dynamic Punch since it is a Guts Machamp, I just go for Substitute so that he gets weared down by his Life Orb and his Toxic damage, so I don't have to worry about those kinds of drops. But anyways, here he goes out into his Slowbro, and obviously this thing is going to be a problem because it's a wall type thing, and at this point I didn't know it was a Trick Room team, so I just go for Toxic right away. I do risk getting hit by Psychic, but I figured he might go for Scald instead to try to get a burn, which would actually help me because I'm a Guts Machamp. But he just goes for Trick Room, but I do get a Toxic off on this Slowbro, and a lot of people are just like, why would you even run Toxic on Machamp? It's basically for Pokemon like this that are walls that would normally wall Machamp, but in return I can get a status on them and ruin their day, basically. But here I switch out into my Melodic, and he goes for Psychic, gets a crit first turn, but luckily, even with the crit, he's not able to take me out with 2 Psychics, and I'm able to rest off all that damage. And so here I'm just going to be going for Sleep Talk while he continues to Psychic me. I'm not really worried, obviously, about this thing at all because my Lodic has great special defense, and as you can see, this Slowbro really isn't doing too much damage to me. I do get rest on the first Sleep Talk, which is unfortunate, but as I said, he is toxic, so he's slowly wearing down his HP, so I'm not really going to have to worry too much about this Slowbro soon. Also, normally during Trick Room, or when I'm facing Trick Room teams, I tend to lose track of the Trick Room count, and that's something I should, get better at not doing so that I can always be aware of how many turns are left. As you can see, it shows it in the replay, but it doesn't show it in the actual battle. But here, luckily, I get a Scald off my Sleep Talk, and rather than go for Rest again to get all my health back, I just go for Scald again because I don't want him setting up Trick Room, and I saw that the last time I hit with Scald, it would be a KO at this range. So that's great. Now it's 4-4 at this point, and so he brings in his Porygon 2, which I know I can't do much to because obviously these things are super defensive with the Violet item and everything. So I go out into my Rotom, and I have the intent of basically tricking this my choice scarf so it doesn't have its Violite. And this turn where he switched out into his Machamp took like 3 minutes for him to decide on what to do. I don't know if it was just because he had something else to do or if he was like really thinking, but he actually just switches out into his Machamp, and now his Machamp is locked into Dynamic Punch, which, you know, isn't a bad thing, so that might have been, you know, his best option. But luckily for me, I don't get the confusion, or I get confused, but I don't hit myself in confusion, and I'm able to get off a Life Orbed Overheat on this Machamp, which is really good. But still, you know, he's able to take me down with 2 hits from Dynamic Punch. And basically, at this point, I'm trying to stall out Trick Room turns because I really can't deal with this Machamp right now. Luckily for me, though, he does take down my Melodic, but that means that the Trick Room is over. And I think this is the last time he gets it up for the rest of the battle. I could be wrong. You know, he might get it up one more time, but either way, I'm able to freely go into my Flygon and just Earthquake. And now here he makes a really good play, or what would have been a really good play if I was Scarfed. And he goes into his Porygon 2 to trace my Levitate, which is a really cool move on his part, except it doesn't really matter because I just go for U-turn right here, which probably surprised him a little bit because, you know, most people expect Flygon to be choiced in some way. And I just go right out into Machamp. I'm not too worried. Okay, he does get Trick Room up again, but I'm not too worried about this because I know that even though they do have some decent special attack, they aren't meant to be special attackers because obviously people use Porygon 2 for its really, really good walling capabilities. But I just go into Substitute here thinking that Ice Beam or Thunderbolt, whichever one it has, or if it has both, wouldn't be doing 25% or more, but it actually shows me that he's doing that by breaking my sub, which really sucks. So I go for Close Combat in this turn. It doesn't kill, obviously, because Porygon 2 is ridiculously defensive, as I've said. And my Machamp has no attack investment. It might have killed if it had attack investment, but I'm mostly invested in HP and speed on this. Don't ask. But I'm able to take it off with the second, or take it out with the second Close Combat. So now I am unfortunately at minus, you know, 2, or yeah, -2 defense, or 0.5 in this case, because of the close combats. So this Exeggutor is able to basically just come in here and Psyshock me for the kill. But luckily for me, Trick Room wears off on this next turn, meaning that this Exeggutor will not be faster than me, and I'm free to go in for a U-turn on this Exeggutor. It does a lot of damage, and he makes a good play and goes for Leech Seed here. I'm assuming he doesn't have Sleep Powder because that's why he went for Leech Seed, otherwise, you know, that would have been the obvious choice. But luckily for me, I have 2 moves that can hit this for super effective damage, and I know that he has the Bronzong left, so I just go for Fire Punch on this turn, even though it wouldn't have killed the Exeggutor, but I kind of predicted a switch was going to happen. So I do that, and Fire Punch is looking like a 3-hit KO on this Bronzong, which is great. Unfortunately for me though, unfortunately for him though, he goes for Hypnosis on this turn and misses. I was actually just expecting a Gyro Ball to happen, and I wasn't sure if I would be able to live it or not, especially with Leech Seed damage racking up, but he thought that Hypnosis was the better decision. Unfortunately for him, though, that it wasn't, and so I'm able to take out this Bronzong, and finally, on this next turn, I'm able to take out the Exeggutor with another U-turn. So that was the battle, and that is why I don't choice my Flygons, because I hate the fact that it has such great coverage, but people always lock themselves into one move and kind of ruin, you know, its coverage. I don't know, that's just my decision, but a lot of people really, really like Scarf or Banded Flygons. But anyways, that was the battle, as I said. So I hope you all enjoyed. I thought it was a pretty good one, and Trick Room teams should be more common in my opinion because they're really good and very difficult to deal with if you're using like standard stuff. So I am hopefully going to make one day. That would be awesome, but I don't really know how to go about doing that just yet, but that is a future plan, so hopefully you might see that later. But that is it for this video, guys, so take care and goodbye, and let me know what you would think about a camera recording of a Pokemon White playthrough. See ya!